you ready? No, Kim. I said, are you? You know something that always bothered me about that whole intro?
It's going to be the same thing that bothers me. Say it.
He says, he asked you a question. He says, are you ready? And then he said, no. I said, are you? But really what he should be saying is, no, I asked, are you ready? It's just grammatically incorrect, and it bugs me. It's bugged me for 25 years.
This is the Kevin Nash adjective for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Broke is Kevin Nash with adjectives. Woke is Triple H saying when actually he was asking. I will die on that hill. But regardless, you and I are ready. Welcome, everybody, to Break It Down, a D-Generation X retrospective. I am your host, Nick Perkins at Western Rebel. That is the man. No, wait. That is the man, Cam Hawkins at Seahawk. Cam, how are you?
I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm mentally drained. I'm physically not fit to deadlift right now. But I'm getting there, man. It is WrestleMania week is an undertaking, even though it's been damn near 2 weeks. It is an undertaking. It is a process. It is mentally draining. But I'm getting back. I'm getting there.
Yeah, you were kind of the belle of WrestleMania weekend ball.
Yeah, man.
You were all over Twitter. Everybody was like, I feel like, especially given the end of night 2 of WrestleMania, I feel like you were kind of the most entertaining part of the weekend.
I wanted to endear myself to like wrestling media. Not that we haven't met, like we all kind of linked up Royal Rumble. We know each other on the internet, but I think so many people do so much good work and they work so hard. You know what I mean? Like I wanna keep it light. Like we don't really do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have news guy, you have video guy, you have interview guy, and news woman, interview woman, video woman. Some great people there. What I do from them is a little bit different. And so like there's I hope that like nobody feels like it's competition in that room. We all have different outlets and everybody's reading everything we do. But no, I kept it light, man. I was shaking hands. I was kissing babies. We were cracking jokes. Like if you look at the finish of Cody and Roman, I have that video where me and everybody in wrestling media you've ever met, we're all in a video like trying to process. Like me and my man Louis Dangler, we were kicking it, man. I love Louis. Like, it's a sweet kid, man. Like I think that. Yeah, the cool thing about Lewis, like he's really a kid, and like he's British or whatever, so he's a kid, but he looks 46. But he stands like this when he's talking. I'm like, yo, what are you thinking about so hard, young guy? But nah, he was sweet, man. He was great.
Some people would argue that he doesn't really think at all.
Well, they would. He's a sweet. Bless his heart. I don't know how I would handle any of this at his age. Like does he stir the pot a little bit? Sure, but he's having fun, man.
Yeah.
That he has $1 million smile. That's a sweet kid. But nah, man, it was I want to show love. John Alba, somebody who I hadn't met, but I talked to. I make fun of him because he always wears a suit. We had a really good time and a really good conversation. Look at you, and you look like you're fresh out of Reservoir Dogs right now. But we had a good time. We had great conversations. There was like something I wrote about Danielson. It was just one line that really stuck out to him, and I appreciated him like with all his success coming to me and telling me how much he appreciated it. We actually bounced some ideas like while he's live writing during Mania Night 2, and it was great, man. Like it's a real cool camaraderie, and I think that those people are not friendly enough to each other. And so I wanted to facilitate that, man. Let's have a ball. Like, let's really kick it. We're in a great spot. So now I loved it, man. I got to my homegirl, Suzette Priester, who is a promoter in the Carolinas. I got to take her with me on both nights into a bunch of events. That was great. I listen, man. Social media, if nothing else, like is where the writers and the journalists and the media do reside. And so, they're there. So they know how I give it up. They see me. Some of them read me. And so, I'm probably one of, because there's some really cool guys. Who's my guys from Britain? Who are they? Wrestle Crit. I forget the name. Come on. What's the big British outlet?
What culture?
What culture? Yeah. So they were out there, man. And that's probably the coolest story of the weekend. So we did Wale Mania. I helped put that on with Kaz and Shoemaker and Sparks, who throw a great event every single year. I helped them behind the scenes with that. The What Culture guys did not go to the bar. They didn't come to any of the VIP rooms. They stood there by that banner waiting on the Usos to be prepared and did the best 3 minutes of media you ever seen and went about their business. And I love that, man. Like they really came over here. They flew across the pond to really give it up and did some great work. It was just great being in the midst of so many successful people. I got to I'm on stage with Elliot Wilson. Elliot Wilson is one of my childhood heroes. He's the editor, creator of XXL Magazine, the best hip hop magazine to ever exist. Does Rap Radar now, some of the best hip hop interviews. Me and Elliot just kicking it, with a bunch of ambiguously ethnic girls on stage in tight dresses. I love that. That's great. Me and Wale, just sharing a bottle. I'm with Jimmy and Jay and Trinity, and Solo's my man. I can't get too deep into that, but Solo's my man now.
Yeah. Great kayfabe over here.
I'm kicking it with all the Usos, to the point where the next day when I went to WrestleCon, I hopped out the car and 3 or 4 of the brothers are out there. They're like, "Yo, Cam, what's up with the bottles, baby?" I'm like, "Yo, chill out." Like it's a good time. But no, man, I had the weekend of my life, if for no other reason than I'm still Nick, not used to people knowing who I am. And so I'm writing something right now for the weekend. Really cool experience I had with WWE. So we get to SoFi, and they have a special event in this special VIP area with food and drinks, and wrestlers are out there and personalities, and everything's free. And I'm kicking it with Cleo Thomas from Holes and O'Shea Jackson Jr. and my man Guy De Silva, who is the stunt man for Black Panther. We're just rocking, right? So there's a young lady, her name's Jordan. She works for On Location. She's fantastic. She's enthusiastic and knows every single thing in the book for that company. So we're walking around VIP, and I have to explain to her why people are stopping me to take pictures with me. I'm like, oh, so I write, but maybe I should be more specific about what it is I do and who I am. It was crazy. But no, man, we could talk about that forever. Like I said, I talked about it on Twitch. I'm still talking about that on different shows, but an amazing experience that, I've been working towards this experience for 15 years. And, now I'm a reaction meme. I'm a GIF. I'm everywhere.
You got hose.
Yeah. But the best thing about it, it's a combination of a lot of hard work, and how many people appreciated that. People were in line to get the Young Bucks autograph, and were jumping out of line to take pictures with me. And I was like, well, this is crazy. And I'm not a wrestler. I'm not talent. I do the thing outside of wrestling, but they're receptive to it. So it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been really cool. Yeah.
And you make a good point that this all happened, and kind of like the old adage says, it took you 15 years to be an overnight success, right? You've been working hard at this, and I've said it on Twitter. I've gone on record, everything you're doing, you have worked your ass off for, and you deserve every bit of it. And it's cool to see you and then so many other talented people get to literally live the dream.
Yeah. I wish I could bring everybody along with me. You know what I mean? I wanted Suzette to have that experience, because what your local promoter, and that's not saying local promoter is small time, but local promoter is a step to where you want to go. Me getting to take local promoter to Wale Mania, to NXT and Raw, and to the press box of WrestleMania, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's supposed to be. Like, kids were texting me and calling me the coolest thing. And listen, I'm allowed to still say women are attractive. I'm very much in a relationship. I love you, Rose. You're fantastic.
Rose is great. Love Rose.
I was at WrestleMania, and I'm outside. I'm helping people get in, and then I'm with it's like Nikita and Lola Vice and Jakara J, and like I'm helping them get in. We talking, we're kicking it. They get in, and then this dude comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, you Seahawk?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, can I take a picture with you?" I was like, "Yeah, but hold on." I was like, "Yo, Nikita, can you take a picture of my man?" So they all took a picture with him. So the next day, his sister tweeted me and was like, "Yo, Seahawk, thank you so much for taking pictures. Like, put my brother on with Nikita. He's so happy." And I was like, "Yo, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, none of this is for me." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 37 years old. The main event talent is my age. Everybody else is younger, and this thing is supposed to continue. So let me put fan on. Let me put promoter on. Working with my girl, edited by Laura. Let me put a video editor on. Like, I love that, because like we did Black Media Brunch at Knuckleheads on Friday morning. And, everybody's like around me because I'm the loud one. I'm the voluminous one. And I just told him, I was like, "Yo, this is all about to be ours, because we move different." You know what I mean? Like, we're friends with the wrestlers, but we're also not trying to get one over on them. Like, we can really kick it. And when we talk, that I'm trying to put something out there in the world that's going to shine you in a positive light, or I'm not going to talk to you, but it's not going to be no hate. I'm going to just keep it like, hey, there was definitely people at Wale Mania that I do not rock with philosophically. And you know what? Stayed out of their way, didn't besmirch them, didn't say nothing crazy. I was just like, "Yo, you do your thing." You know what I'm saying? So, nah, man, this whole thing is about giving back. This whole thing is about putting people on because I can. And I didn't know that I could until I could. But it's all I want to do. Like, I'm going to get mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm fine. Like, I got these 2 jobs. They're going to take care of me. I just we'll see if it happens. But I presented this really cool idea to AEW about Double or Nothing. Because if you watch AEW TV, it looks like the main event is going to be a very specific thing. And it looks like it might need 4 individual things. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if anybody's going to do it, it damn sure should be me. So yeah, man, I'm good on my end. Like, I don't need, there's nothing that I'm going to start talking about me when you talk about the show. Let me say 2 things. I used to date this girl in college, and she is a traveling nurse in LA. And I was like, "Yo, it's night after WrestleMania, night 2. I was like, "Yo, we're at the JW. Let's kick it." So when you try to explain to people who don't watch wrestling what you do, it's difficult. But when we were at the hotel with 300 people in the hotel lobby, after I shook hand 60, she was like, "Oh, I get it. I get it." Like, yeah, after Omos came up behind me and was like, "Hey, they still serving drinks, Cam?" We were good. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so I'm good. I don't need another thing. Like, if I get offered something bigger, cool, great. But I'm fantastic where I am, man. I'm in the position I never thought I was going to be, because I never thought this was going to be my thing. But WrestleMania weekend kind of has me like, oh, I can do some more stuff. There's some things like somebody was like, "When are you going to do your book? Here's my card." Somebody was like, "Hey, let's talk about the live show you're going to do in Philly." So yeah, we're working, baby. And I just want everybody to eat. Like Nick, I see how hard you work, your dedication to this thing. Why shouldn't you eat? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all about to get it, and I love it.
That's such a cool attitude. And I think it is something that is shared by a lot of really prominent members of wrestling media. I mean, John Alba, I talked to for half an hour in just a Microsoft Teams call. Nick Hausman gave me his phone number, and I talked with him for half an hour.
Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nick. You have no idea the not pressure, but the feeling of you sitting in the front row at a press conference, Triple H being 6 feet from you, Nick Hausman being 2 feet from you, and him just being like, all right, Hausman, go ahead. And you're just like, oh, here we go. No, Nick's great though, man. I love him. He's fantastic.
Check out House of Wrestling on Twitter. It's a new thing. He's doing some good work over there.
Shout out to him on Premier Streaming Network, man. He has a show over there now, man. He's doing his thing.
With Freddie Prinze Jr. co-owner. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Should we talk about the night after WrestleMania 14?
Let's get there because, boy, WrestleMania 14 was 1998.
Correct.
12-year-old Cam. Boy, did I throw that month in together as one night, as opposed to it really being like a progression. So yes, let's do that.
Well, we will get into the rest of that month, but tonight we are just going to strictly focus on March 30th, 1998. It is the night after WrestleMania 14, which we talked about in our last episode, but kind of give me just a brief. In the pantheons of pro wrestling, how important was WrestleMania 14 to the overall history of WWE?
So you have Stone Cold winning the title. So you really come into the Attitude Era, right? You have The Rock not nipping at his heels at that point, but also established as next, right? Triple H is solidified. The Outlaws are solidified. You had Sable really do her thing. And so we can talk about the WWE's treatment of women at that time another time, but clearly seen as a big deal. I think that even though WrestleMania 13 is super important in establishing Stone Cold Steve Austin, outside of like when Warrior beat Hogan, I don't know if there's a more important WrestleMania after that than this one.
Right.
Like genuinely. I don't know. Like Yokozuna, great talent. We lost him really early. Lex Luger didn't end up being that guy. Shawn Michaels, for as great as he was, history remembers him better as second act Shawn Michaels, right? So Bret Hart, I don't think that we don't define Bret Hart by WrestleMania. As much as I love Bret Hart, Bret Hart is not an act that he's considered great for everything that he did. Bret Hart's biggest WrestleMania moment is beating Stone Cold, but it's not looked at as a win for Bret Hart. You know what I'm saying? So this is, as far as a WrestleMania goes, it's weird to equate anything like, Cena 21 and after. But WrestleMania 14, I think monetarily, outside of saving a company like the early WrestleManias, it might be the most important one.
Yeah, I completely agree. And maybe just as important as WrestleMania 14 was the night after WrestleMania 14, because that is the night that we really crowned Stone Cold Steve Austin. We both just watched the episode. This was like the first kind of the kickoff to the Austin versus McMahon feud. McMahon was still trying to play nice with Steve Austin. It was a hilarious segment. He told Austin that he loved him and that he wanted to work within the system and all of that stuff. That was great. But for the purposes of our podcast, this was the night that DX Triple H said it was the genesis of D-Generation X. And I think that's really a good word for it, because we had DX when it was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and China, right? They were a great threesome. They got into some hijinks. They did some really funny stuff. But when most people think of like the original DX, they think about DX 2.0, right? You think about Triple H and the people that kind of came into the group on this night. And let's talk about that. So after WrestleMania, there's a press conference, right? Shawn Michaels kind of threw a little hissy fit, argued with Shane McMahon, kicked the door.
It wasn't little. It wasn't little, but I feel you. Yeah.
But he was taking some time off. He had a back injury. He was trying to figure out what he was going to do. But a lot of people thought no Shawn Michaels, no DX. But this is the night that kind of proved that differently. I'm going to read a little bit from the DX book. This is Are You Ready? I bought this like 15 years ago. But it's a really good kind of time capsule about it. I mean, they definitely didn't write this. This was 100% ghost written, but I think it has a lot of good insight into where their minds were at the moment in time. So Shawn Michaels wrote that I really didn't know what the future held for me after 2014. As far as DX was concerned, we had done all the heavy lifting. DX had worked and our philosophy had proved successful. One thing for sure was that Hunter wasn't going to have to go through all the heat that we got done doing because they believed in him. DX was a presence now. Hunter wrote, the problem for me was that DX was over, but no matter how you cut it, Shawn was the main guy. I was the second guy, the second fiddle. My concern was to be able to step up and take control. It was going to be up to me to see if there were legs to this group. So Triple H is under a lot of pressure because people did think that he was kind of playing second fiddle to Shawn Michaels. But now if Shawn Michaels is gone, it's kind of up to him to see what he can do with DX. So we're going to play the segment of Triple H coming out on that Monday night on Raw. I don't know if it'll get us censored. I don't know if we'll get copyrighted or not. If it does, then we'll ask you to kind of act it out next week. But this is what Triple H had to say.
A lot can happen in 24 hours. Let's start with Mike Tyson.
Is he locked in? Is he locked in?
I must have asked 1,000 times.
1,000 times.
Is he locked in? Is he with us? Is he a part of us? Are you sure? Is it sewn up? What I heard was, don't worry, kid. I got it covered. Don't sweat it. You worry too much. It's sewn up.
It was not sewn up, Cam.
Make
sewn up.
the
Busted
decision.
wide open.
Well, you dropped the ball. But don't worry, HBK, because Triple H picked it up. And now the ball is in my court. I'll take care of the worries. I'll take care of the problems. And I'll make the decisions. Whoa. This is the genesis of D-Generation X. Tonight, live in front of the world, I form the DX Army, an army to take care of business that should have been taken care of right from the start.
Pay attention. That'll be important later.
You say it, JR. And when you start an army, when you set out to do what no one else can do, the first thing you do is you look to your blood. You look to your buddies. You look to your friends. You look to the clique.
You look to who?
Yeah.
It was former 1, 2, 3 kid, former 6, X-Pac, Cam. X-Pac was back in the WWF after a couple years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. So tell me, when you were watching this, did you know who X-Pac was when he came out? You're a 12-year-old kid. Did you know who he was?
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like I'm, you know, WCW versus the world kid. And so like with even though we had polygons, the best looking move I had ever seen in a video game to that point was him doing the Buzz Killer, the crossface chicken wing. It's great. He had lightning on the tights and thug on the side. He was amazing. He was amazing. 1-2-3 Kid was great, but like belt stealing, crazy talking, deep voice. Six was him. I love Six. And so, yeah, man, I knew exactly who it was now. So what I didn't know at the time being so young was that he was in that crew like that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand adult friendships at that point. You know what I mean? Like did I know that, you know, the curtain call wasn't a thing to me at that age. And so, you know, seeing him come out and be with them, I was like, okay, yeah, that's dope. Like, I love that they're all friends. And I guess the NWO and the DX are one big happy family. This is cool. Yeah, this is great. No, I was hyped, man. I was hyped. I think the weird thing about it was like trying to figure out why he wasn't wrestling.
Sure.
And that comes down the road, right? But I'm like, yo, why isn't he like doing anything? Is he just going to be like the homie? But yeah, it was, they didn't give him a name for like weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's him. Look who it is. I'm like, oh, it's like, but of course now in the environment we're in, you know, Jay White shows up. He's Jay White.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like names are way looser and copyrights are looser and you can call them something. But yeah, it was like, it was super ambiguous. And I'm like, so what are they going to do? Cause like the wrestling didn't come for a while.
Right. I'm glad that you was because I didn't. I had only started watching wrestling in like late '97, so like 6 months prior. I didn't know who this guy was. Obviously, I know him now, and like he's a legend. But back when I saw this live for the very first time, I had no idea. I thought he was just like this guy that I knew I should have known who he was, but I didn't because I hadn't started watching WCW yet. I think this move, this promo actually is what got me into WCW because he was talking about Hulk Hogan, who I knew just from childhood. He's on this other show. So I think it made me go check that out. But this was such a huge move for the WWF at the time. Not only because X-Pac, who he would later be known as, had already been in the WWF as the 1-2-3 Kid, but he was just coming out of the NWO, which a lot of people think X was kind of like a derivative of, right? Like this was the first NWO guy to come back to the World Wrestling Federation. And that was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he, you know, and this is still like hot NWO. You know what I mean? Like this is not like on the downturn or split into a million factions. And he was, and again, he was one of my favorites. He would steal titles and then compete over them. And him and Eddie Guerrero have a top 10 WCW match. If you go watch that ladder match, it's sold out. Like he was, you know, crossface, chicken wing. Let me tell you, like, the biggest impact he had on me. He had the best looking leg drop I'd ever seen. And I could not figure out why his leg drop was what we now call a transition move. And Hulk Hogan's leg drop was finishing people. I was like, look at him do it. It's amazing. But yeah, no, he was Sean Waltman is one of the all-time talents. You know, he is one of those, him and Brian Pillman and a couple of other names really brought the cruiserweight style to America as Americans. Like that's a short list, but he's amazing. He's amazing. Was amazing forever. And yeah, like seeing him show up back over there, I was excited, man. Like he's one of my like again, that lightning gear in WCW, it's so good. Like I feel like I'm gonna fire up WWE 2K22 when we get off the phone and like play some Six. Let's put a title on Six. Let's do it.
So here's a fun question. what is your favorite gear of Sean Waltman? What was his best look?
I think it is the Thug tights. I think it's the WCW gear with the Thug, like the X-Pac, the green DX stuff looked really good when they got there. The red was okay. The green DX stuff was really good to me. I did actually like his I guess we call them boy shorts. That feels like really emasculating. But his NWO boy shorts when they did the NWO run in WWE, I did like those. But no, it's the Thug Lightning tights or the Thug Lightning long singlet in WCW for sure.
Yeah, I think the NWO boy shorts, as you call them, I think that was my favorite. There's just something about seeing the NWO logo on gear, right? Like Paul did it. I'm doing Booker T did it. It's cool.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So we are gonna play X-Pac's interview and see if we can keep it up. He had a lot of energy, Cam. He was hyped.
He has some shit to get off. Triple H, X-Pac hug. Even me, as somebody who didn't know who this was, I knew it was a big deal. Yeah.
We missed a line from Jerry Lawler. He said it looks like Shawn Michaels is out of DX, which is kind of a big deal.
Leave that in there, huh?
This is the most interesting comments. And remember, we are live. You know, when you've been an indentured servant for 2 years, allow me to you run up a lot of feelings. Talk to him, kid.
Indentured servant. Boy, white people and their problems. He was hyped, and they were hyped for him, man. They remembered.
First things first, I got a little something I gotta get off my chest right now. I heard Hulk Hogan come out on television saying I couldn't cut the mustard. Well, Hulk Hogan, you suck, pal.
Keep it light. Be straightforward and to the point.
To talk about anybody cutting any kind of mustard. And Hulk, I got some more advice for you. You better not stop short, or Eric Bischoff will go so far up your ass, you'll know what you had for breakfast.
Jesus.
That was a good one.
Jesus.
He's telling the truth so far.
Yo. Is he telling the truth? Wow.
Now on to important matters at hand. I'm sitting at home, and I get a call from one of my best friends in my entire life, Triple H. And he says, DX needs your help. Well, damn it, Triple H. Anytime you ever need anything from me, pal, you got it. And I got something else to say. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall would be standing right here with us. If they weren't being held hostage by World Championship Wrestling, and that's a fact, Eric Bischoff. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
He was on his head, boy.
And man, so this was really the first time that WWF acknowledged WCW at all, and they really went for it, right? They went for the jugular.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it's the first time that WCW wasn't the promised land. You know what I mean? Like, even back then, you know, you heard whispers of, you know, these big contracts they're giving out and doing less work and you know, you just kind of exist over there. And this was the first person, you know, somebody who left here to go there and did not have like glowing reviews of what they were doing and came back. So yeah. And yeah, they let him talk. He was using names, like there was nothing off the table, you know. Damn, Hulk Hogan straight into it. And you know, there was already the push of Hulk Hogan's too old to be doing this. And WWF was in a youth movement. Like everybody in a prominent position was under 40. As a matter of fact, that's 1998, right? So if that's 1998, how old is Steve Austin? Steve Austin is 58. And so 1998 would have been 25 years ago. Jesus, we're old, number one.
Yeah.
So
Especially
25 years ago. So that's 38. That's 33. He was younger than I am having this conversation.
Yeah,
So
that's
he was
insane to think
33.
about.
Yeah, which means what? Rock was 27 or something crazy like that. Triple H was right there between them. So yeah, like everybody, I think probably like what Undertaker's a couple of years older than Austin, right?
Yeah, he was.
You know, he's Austin's age. He's 58. So he's 33. So like everybody
Man, we're older
is
than the Undertaker.
It's crazy. So everybody's under 35 at that point, right? So yeah, man, it's a real youth movement over there. While, you know, and I love Macho Man to death, but they got Macho and Hogan and Roddy Piper, and you know, it's outside of Sting and Luger, like up there at the top of the main event, and Giant, of course, who's really young. Like it's a bunch of old guys, and so you got not only and I wonder whose decision it was to have Waltman come back with the beard,
Right?
because like you know he's the 1, 2, 3 kid. Right. And not that he didn't have facial hair in WCW, but it's just like, we're going to really portray him as like super adult guy. You know what I mean? Like it was really interesting. Yeah. Juxtaposed with Triple H's, you know, consistently shaven face up until, you know, Evolution-ish. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was a big move, and I wanted to talk to you about a point that you were making. So everybody kind of points at X-Pac as like kind of the catalyst for the WWF kind of taking over WCW and really making it seem like that was the place to be. My question though is, it's not like X-Pac quit WCW to go to WWF. Like he got fired. Eric Bischoff fired him.
Yeah.
Like what else was he gonna do? Like, so are they kind of making it a bigger deal that he came to the WWF, or do you think it was still like as big as people are making it?
I mean, they even pointed out that, you know, he got fired via fax. Like, it's not something that they made secret. But I think that knowing how good he was, knowing, you know, what he did with the Bret Harts and the HBKs and the Razor Ramones, and there was no question about how talented this person was. So even a firing made it look like a WCW misstep. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's a great
I
point.
still think that he had enough good memories of when he was there. There was enough goodwill from the matches that he put on that, and you know, like, did he have like his issues? Yeah, but nobody in attendance knew about those. Like, they don't know things that led to him maybe not being in the best position, you know, job wise. So yeah, no, I think it's still hit because again, what we've learned, Nick, the internet does not actually care about who's right and who's wrong. They care where they planted their flag, you know? So if WWF good, WCW bad, whatever he says is right because he said it. And it goes with the things that you're thinking. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would not only be X-Pac that would join D-Generation X, they would also introduce two more men who, if you've been following with us for these last few episodes, you know we've talked a little bit about. It is the New Age Outlaws, the badass Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg Jesse James. Now, the Outlaws, they're kind of DX adjacent, right? Like, they teamed up with Triple H and Shawn Michaels to put the Legion of Doom out of commission. They would have teamed like in a match at No Way Out with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, but Michaels got injured, so they were forced to team with Savio
Vega. You better leave. Listen. I'm gonna put them Puerto Ricans on you, man. You're not invited to the parade. You've been dogging Savio. But yeah, it's absolutely not a one-of-one. Yeah.
Right. But so they were always, and Triple H has even said in later years that the plan was eventually for these two to kind of tag along with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. But now that Michaels is out, they've got X-Pac, and the New Age Outlaws come on the scene too. They actually, that very same night, have a tag team cage match against Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack. The night previous, obviously, they had a dumpster match with Cactus and Chainsaw, which they lost, but not really, because it turns out
they put him in the wrong trash can.
It was the wrong dumpster, which I guess makes sense. And when talking about dumpster matches, you got to do the right dumpster, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you do.
90s were weird, man. So they get a rematch on Raw. It's a cage match. The match itself is not bad. I actually don't remember a tag team cage match before that match. Do you?
No, I do not remember a tag team cage match prior to that. Did it probably exist? Yes. Is a nerd on YouTube going to link us to it? Absolutely. And thank you, nerd. But no, I do not remember it happening before that.
So it was a pretty big deal for a main event of Raw. And wouldn't you know it, the Outlaws beat Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie after X-Pac interfered and just beat the shit out of both of them. Like, chair cuts all around, Bronco Busters for everybody. Outlaws were now in D-Generation X. And tell me what 12-year-old Cam was thinking when you saw all four guys get on the turnbuckles and do the DX sign. Were you psyched about this? Were you mad? How did 12-year-old Cam feel?
That's what was coming, man. We knew that was the way it was going. Like you said, like you didn't have to be 37-year-old who writes about this to know that that's where it was headed. That was what was coming, man. Like again, like you expected it to happen all at once. It was weird that X-Pac got the rub before they did, but nah, man, this is the way it was going. So yeah, Triple H was solidifying his army, baby. That's just what was going to happen. And of course, like as much as I revere a Terry Funk and a Mick Foley now today, I didn't care about them old dudes. Like beat them up, beat them down.
Yeah,
man.
So something that struck me, so every WrestleMania season, I try to watch as many WrestleManias as I can leading up. It psychs me up. I'm a loser. I don't have any friends, so I just watch wrestling. But something that I just realized was DX in this incarnation, it only lasted a year. Like they formed on this night after WrestleMania 14, and for all intents and purposes, they broke up more or less at WrestleMania 15.
Yeah.
So everything they did was in a 1 year period. Is that not crazy?
Crazy, and that's why it works. That's why they can sell T-shirts to this day, because they didn't wear out their welcome. And of course, we have DX 2000 and Shawn Michaels and them come back, and then we have all the reunion shows. But no, they literally, like, they set out to do the thing that they were supposed to do, which was make Triple H a star. And, they accomplished it, man. You have your European title runs, your tag team title runs, and you have Triple H with the corporation. Like that fantastic ladder match with him and The Rock, like them feuding with the Nation. Oh God, I can't wait till we talk about that. Boy, I'm wearing my kufi the whole time. But yeah, no, that year happened, and they did everything they were supposed to do in that year. It was not time for Triple H to be world champion because Rock and Austin are there. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he probably, along with Mick Foley and Undertaker, at the next level. And I feel like the promo that Triple H did on this night, like, really solidified the fact that, yeah, this guy can be a player.
Yeah, he was, I took issue and still take issue. And even during that time, like Triple H was talking about his dick a whole lot, and it just did not. Nobody cared. Like it wasn't funny. It was too cute, and it like Triple H, and most people don't. Triple H never got over as a sex symbol, right? Jeff Hardy, who wrestled in a shirt, would take his shirt off to do a move, and the women would go crazy. Jeff Hardy probably had the 98th best body in WWE at that point. But you can't control what people find sexy, right? Like he has that appeal. So Triple H, dick jokes didn't do anything for you. But when we got serious Triple H, like as that progressed, it worked perfectly because that's who he was supposed to be. The Outlaws got over as a tag team. Road Dogg, especially, got that catchphrase over. You get some great European title stuff with DX and X-Pac. Like, yeah, man, it worked. And then China continues to be China. Like, it's great. It really was a fantastic banner year. One of the best, like, single seasons of any faction. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. As opposed to, like, the NWO, who lasted way too long. Like, DX, the reason you're exactly right. The reason we remember everything so fondly was because like everything they did felt major because they were only together for a year. And we will get into all of that. We'll get into the invasion of WCW and the Nation of Domination feud and all of that. We will also be talking about the fact that, so on this show, DX were heels, right? They were the bad guys. It would not be long, though, before they do a little switcheroo, and suddenly, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're kind of the anti-heroes of the WWF.
Yeah.
We'll be covering all of that. I definitely, at some point in the future, I want to do a deep dive into the career of X-Pac and really just kind of, you and I both agree. Like, and I think time has been kind to Sean Waltman and the impact that he's made. Because, I mean, there used to be a term called X-Pac heat, right? Yeah. And that was like the go-away heat. But I think as time has progressed, people are really realizing how influential Sean Waltman was and how big of an impact. And so eventually with one of these shows, I'd love to do a deep dive into his career, love to do a deep dive into the New Age Outlaws. We'll for sure do one on Triple H and Shawn Michaels and China, of course. But for this week's episode, I just kind of wanted to get a glimpse of the night after WrestleMania and what was to come for D-Generation X. So, Cam, all of that being said, how important was this episode of Raw to DX and to the WWF as a whole?
It was huge. In that we've been talking about this for a few weeks, but as good as Austin Michaels was the build, Kane Undertaker was right there under that, right? Like, they had two things going on at the same time that you could tap into. And so DX establishing themselves as a unit, being, let's get Disciples of Apocalypse out of here. Get out of here.
Motorcycles, right?
Yeah, come on, nation. Like having that thing underneath the main event that people have seen, that's been organic, that they've been watching. It was huge, man. It was huge. Like a company cannot exist on their top talent alone. There have to be more things that attract people. And so, yeah, it was a very big deal. Again, DX had an incredible year, sold 1 million t-shirts, got the crowd crazy. You saw more titties than you're ever supposed to see as a 12-year-old at that time. But yeah, man, they were doing it. Like they went from like, again, I don't think Shawn Michaels is cool. I don't think Shawn Michaels would tell you he was cool. Shawn Michaels was an otherworldly talent twice. And most people ain't otherworldly talents twice. But I don't think he was cool. But, I really think X-Pac, Waltman coming to that crew made them cool. Because he was cool. You know what I mean? Like, he was... We all went to high school, and some of you might still be in high school, but the best compliment that you can get in high school is when the seniors think you're cool as a freshman. It gets no better. When nobody messes with you because you're cool with the seniors. That didn't happen to you? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I lived through that. I was solid with the seniors. But he was the dude who was looked at, literally called kid, who was rocking with Hall and Nash and Hunter and Michaels. And they rocked with him. And on top of that, Brett respected him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was one of them dudes. And so him being that top tier talent, having been established that before he was even back, being that in WCW, being that first run of WWF, being that dude in Japan, like, that made them cool. And people rocked with Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Like, they rocked with them too. We know China was cool, but like, he was cool in a way that Shawn wasn't. Shawn was top tier talent, main event guy. Waltman was cool. And so what he was doing, coming from the NWO, looked cool. And so, yeah, it was huge for them. Absolutely. He was the cosign.
Yeah, there is a lot of history to get into. We are now entering D-Generation X 2.0, the genesis of DX. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. That is it for tonight. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of bodyslam.net, I'm Nick Perkins. That's Cam Hawkins. This is Break It Down, a D-Generation X retrospective. And as always, if you're not down with that, Cam has got 2 words for you.
God bless.
Bye-bye, everybody.